I was setting down the birthday cake when my daughter's voice cut through the laughter and conversation like glass shattering. "Oh my God, Mom, are you seriously jealous of me right now?" The room went silent. Completely silent. 20 people mid-conversation, mid-bite, mid-laugh, all frozen. My hands were still on the cake platter. I looked up at Emma, my daughter, standing across the table in her designer dress, phone in hand, looking at me like I was a stranger who'd just done something unforgivable. "What?" I barely got the word out. "You've been making comments all night. About my dress, about Marcus, about the restaurant reservation. Just admit you're jealous." I felt every pair of eyes shift to me. My sister's mouth hung open. My mother looked confused. Marcus, Emma's boyfriend, looked uncomfortable. The silence stretched so long I could hear the candles crackling on the cake I'd spent 3 hours making that morning. "Emma, I don't know what you're talking about. I just asked if you wanted to open presents before or after cake." See? There it is again. That tone. You can't stand that I'm doing well. That I'm happy. That I have a successful career and a great relationship. You've been like this for months. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. This was my daughter. My Emma. Who I'd raised alone after her father left. Who I'd worked 3 jobs to put through college. Who I'd supported through every dream and heartbreak and milestone. And she was calling me jealous. In front of everyone. At her own birthday party that I'd organized and paid for. I need you to understand something before I go any further. I'm not a perfect mother. Never claimed to be. But I loved my daughter more than anything in this world. I'm 51 years old, work as a nurse at County General, and Emma is my only child. Her father walked out when she was 3, and it's been just the 2 of us ever since. We were close. Really close. Or at least I thought we were. Movie nights every Friday. Sunday brunch at our favorite diner. She'd call me almost every day just to talk about her day, ask advice, share something funny that happened. She was my best friend. I was so proud of her. She's 28 now, works in marketing at some tech company downtown, makes good money, lives in a beautiful apartment I helped her furnish. Smart, beautiful, successful. Everything I'd hoped she'd become. But something had changed over the past 6 months. Something I couldn't quite put my finger on until that moment at her birthday party. Standing there with everyone staring at me, I tried to remember what I'd actually said that night. I'd complimented her dress when she arrived, told her she looked beautiful. I'd said hello to Marcus, who I'd met twice before, asked how his job was going. I'd mentioned that the restaurant she'd chosen for next weekend was expensive, but I hadn't said we couldn't afford it. I'd just asked if she was sure, since she'd been worried about money last month. "I'm not jealous, sweetheart. I'm proud of you. I've always been proud of you." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Right. That's why you questioned my relationship, my job, my choices, everything. You can't handle that I'm not struggling like you did. That I'm not settling for less. Settling for less." The words hit like a slap. My sister Lisa stood up. "Emma, that's enough. Your mother has done nothing but support you. Stay out of it, Aunt Lisa. You don't know what it's like having a mother who undermines everything you do." I set the cake down because my hands were shaking too badly to hold it. "I have never undermined you. I've supported every single decision you've made." "Supported? You mean controlled." "There's a difference, Mom." She grabbed her purse and Marcus's hand. "We're leaving. Thanks for making my birthday about you." Again. They left. Just walked out. The door closing behind them echoed in the silent room. Everyone started talking at once. My mother came over, put her hand on my shoulder. Lisa started saying something about Emma being stressed at work. But I couldn't hear any of it. I just stood there staring at the cake with 28 candles slowly melting, trying to understand what had just happened. The party ended early. People left quickly, awkwardly, with sympathetic looks and half-hearted reassurances that Emma would calm down. I was left cleaning up alone, throwing away untouched food, wrapping up the cake nobody ate. My phone rang around midnight. Emma. Hello? I just want you to know that what you did tonight was unacceptable. I sat down on the couch, exhausted. What I did? Emma, I made you a birthday cake and invited your family over. What did I do? You embarrassed me in front of everyone. Made me look like a bratty child who can't handle criticism. You called me jealous in front of 20 people. You said I was controlling and undermining. How is that me embarrassing you? Because you provoked it. You've been passive-aggressive for months. Making little comments. Judging my choices. I finally stood up for myself and you're playing victim. What comments? What have I said that was passive-aggressive? She sighed heavily, like I was being deliberately dense. Last month, when I got promoted, you asked if I was sure I could handle the increased responsibility. When Marcus and I started dating, you said I should take things slow. When I bought my new car, you questioned whether I could afford it. It's constant. I tried to remember these conversations. The promotion, I'd asked because she'd been stressed, working 70-hour weeks, barely sleeping. I was worried about her health. The relationship, she'd been hurt badly by her previous boyfriend, I was trying to protect her. The car, she'd literally called me crying about her credit card debt 2 weeks before buying it. I was concerned. That's not the same as being jealous or controlling. To you, maybe. But to me, it feels like you can't stand to see me succeed. Like you want me to struggle so you can feel needed. The accusation was so absurd I almost laughed. That's not true. That's not even remotely true. Whatever, Mom. I can't do this right now. I just needed you to know how I feel. She hung up. I sat there in the dark holding my phone, trying to figure out when everything had gone so wrong. If you're watching this because you've ever been accused of something by someone you love and had no idea where it came from, hit that subscribe button. This story gets more complicated than I ever imagined. And leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. I need to know I'm not alone in this. The next few days were strange. Emma didn't call. Didn't text. Usually we talked every day, but suddenly there was just silence. I texted her the day after her birthday. Can we talk? I feel like there's been a misunderstanding. She responded 6 hours later. There's no misunderstanding. I finally see things clearly. Please, let me take you to lunch. We can talk this through. I need space right now. Space. From me. Her mother. The person she'd talked to every single day for 28 years. I tried to give her space. Lasted 3 days before I called. She didn't answer. Called again the next day. Voicemail. Texted. No response. A week after her birthday, I drove to her apartment. I know. But I was desperate. I needed to understand what was happening. Marcus answered the door. Looked uncomfortable the second he saw me. Hi, Mrs. Patterson. Emma's not here. Do you know when she'll be back? I really need to talk to her. She's actually asked me to tell you that she needs more space. She's not ready to talk yet. She'd told her boyfriend to run interference. Like I was some kind of threat. Marcus, can you please tell me what's going on? I don't understand what I did wrong. He shifted his weight, clearly uncomfortable. I think that's something you need to discuss with Emma. I would love to discuss it with Emma. She won't answer my calls. Maybe that's your answer then. He said it gently, but the words still stung. I drove home crying so hard I had to pull over twice. 2 weeks. Went by. Nothing. Radio silence. I'd gone from talking to my daughter every day to complete silence, and I had no idea why. My mother called, asking if I'd heard from Emma. Apparently Emma wasn't returning her calls either. Or Lisa's. She was shutting out the whole family. Then I started hearing things. Through Lisa first. I ran into Emma's friend Kayla at the grocery store, Lisa said over the phone. She asked how you were doing with everything. With what? She said Emma had told her you two were having issues. That you were having trouble accepting Emma's independence. My stomach dropped. What else did she say? She was vague. Just said she hoped you could work things out. That it must be hard watching your daughter grow up and not need you anymore. Not need me anymore. Like that was the problem. Like I couldn't handle my daughter being an adult. Lisa, that's not what's happening. I don't know what Emma's telling people, but it's not true. I believe you. But clearly Emma believes it. The question is why? I didn't have an answer. More stories filtered back to me over the next few weeks. Through friends, through family, through people at church. Emma was apparently telling everyone that I was jealous of her success. That I was controlling. That I couldn't let go. And people were believing her. I started getting treated differently. My neighbor, who I'd been friends with for years, was suddenly distant. Women at church who usually chatted with me after service were polite but cold. My book club had a weird energy, like people were uncomfortable around me. One of my coworkers, Jennifer, finally said something. We were on break and she brought it up carefully. Hey, I heard you and your daughter are going through something. Are you okay? I honestly don't know what's happening. She's cut me off and I don't know why. Jennifer looked uncomfortable. My sister knows Emma from that Young Professionals networking group. She said Emma's been pretty open about you guys having conflict. What has she said exactly? Just that you're having trouble with her growing up. That you've been critical of her boyfriend and her career choices. That you want her to stay dependent on you. Every word was like a knife. That's not true. None of that is true. Jennifer held up her hands. I'm not judging. Family stuff is complicated. I just wanted you to know what's being said. My daughter was destroying my reputation and I had no way to defend myself. Because defending myself would mean trash-talking my own daughter, which I wouldn't do. I was trapped. 3 weeks after her birthday, Emma finally responded to one of my texts. We need to talk. Can you come to my apartment tomorrow at 6? I arrived 10 minutes early. Sat in my car trying to prepare for whatever was coming. Marcus answered the door again, let me in, then excused himself to the bedroom. Emma was sitting on the couch, looking composed and cold. She didn't stand up when I came in. Didn't smile. Hi, sweetheart. Hi. Her voice was flat. I sat in the chair across from her, suddenly feeling like I was on trial. Thank you for agreeing to talk. I want to set some boundaries. Boundaries. Like I'd been violating them. Okay. First, I need you to stop showing up at my apartment unannounced. It's invasive and disrespectful. I came here once because you wouldn't return my calls. Second, I need you to respect my choices. My relationship with Marcus, my career, my financial decisions, they're mine to make. I don't need your input. I've never tried to control your choices, Emma. I've given advice when you asked for it. Third, I need you to work on your jealousy issues. Maybe talk to a therapist or something. Because I can't have a healthy relationship with you when you're constantly trying to undermine my happiness. I felt like I'd been punched. My jealousy issues? Emma, I'm not jealous of you. I'm proud of you. That's not what it feels like. She pulled out her phone, started reading from it like she'd prepared notes. 6 months ago, when I told you I got promoted, you said, that's great honey, but are you sure you can handle it? You've been so stressed lately. You were stressed. You'd been working until midnight every night. You'd gotten sick twice that month. I was worried about you. It came across as you doubting my capabilities. That wasn't my intention at all. 4 months ago, when I introduced you to Marcus, you said, "He seems nice, but take things slow." You rushed into things with Derek and got hurt. You did rush into things with Derek. You moved in with him after 2 months and he cheated on you. I was trying to protect you. I'm an adult. I don't need protection. I need support. Supporting you doesn't mean I can't express concern. She continued reading from her phone. 3 months ago, when I bought my car, you said, "Are you sure you can afford this?" You were just telling me about your credit card debt. You called me crying about being $10,000 in debt. Then 2 weeks later you bought a $40,000 car. I was confused. It's my money. My debt. My decision. You're right. It is. But you called me asking for advice, Emma. I gave it. That's not jealousy or control. She put her phone down. It's the way you say things, Mom. It's the tone. The implication that I'm making mistakes. That I can't handle my own life. I've never implied that. That's how it feels. We were talking in circles. Everything I said, every concern I'd expressed out of love, she'd reframed as criticism. As jealousy. As control. Emma, I love you. Everything I've ever said or done has been because I love you and want the best for you. Love shouldn't feel like judgment. And concern shouldn't feel like jealousy. She stood up. I think we should take a break from each other. I need time to figure out who I am without your voice in my head constantly telling me I'm not good enough. I have never said you're not good enough. Never. You don't have to say it. It's in everything you do. She walked to the door, opened it. I think you should go. I stood up, feeling like the ground was crumbling beneath me. Emma, please. Let's not do this. We can work through this. I need space, Mom. Real space. No calls. No texts. No showing up. I'll reach out when I'm ready. How long? I don't know. I walked to the door, stopped. I'm sorry if I made you feel judged. That was never my intention. I just love you and worry about you. That's what mothers do. Maybe that's the problem. She closed the door behind me. I stood in the hallway hearing the deadbolt click, feeling like I'd just lost my daughter and didn't know why. For those of you still watching, thank you. This gets harder. Hit that like button if you've ever felt misunderstood by someone you love. Drop a comment about where you're from. I need to know there are people out there who get how complicated this is. The next few months were hell. Complete radio silence from Emma. I honored her request, didn't call, didn't text, didn't show up. But every day felt like a piece of me was missing. My mother was furious with Emma. Said she was being disrespectful and ungrateful. Lisa was more measured, said Emma was going through something and would come around eventually. But nobody really understood what was happening. Including me. I started second-guessing everything. Every conversation we'd ever had. Every piece of advice I'd given. Was I controlling? Was I judgmental? Was I jealous without realizing it? I did what Emma suggested. Started seeing a therapist. Dr. Chen was in her 60s, kind but direct. Tell me about your relationship with your daughter, she said in our first session. I told her everything. The closeness we'd had. The sudden shift. The accusations. The silence. Do you think there's any truth to what she's saying? Dr. Chen asked. I don't know anymore. I thought I was being a good mother. Being involved. Being supportive. But maybe I crossed lines I didn't see. Or maybe your daughter is going through her own process of individuation and it's coming out in ways that hurt. You. What's individuation? Separating from parents. Becoming your own person. It's a normal developmental process. But sometimes it involves rejecting the parent, at least temporarily. Creating distance to figure out who you are without them. So I didn't do anything wrong? I didn't say that. You might have. Most parents do sometimes. But the intensity of her reaction suggests there's more going on than just your behavior. Over the next few sessions, Dr. Chen helped me examine my parenting. The boundaries I may have crossed. The ways I might have been over-involved. But she also helped me see that Emma's narrative, that I was jealous and controlling, didn't match reality. Jealousy would mean you resented her success, Dr. Chen said. From everything you've told me, you've celebrated it. You've supported it financially and emotionally. That's not jealousy. Then why is she saying it? That's a question only Emma can answer. 4 months after Emma cut me off, I got a call from my mother. She was at the hospital. She'd fallen, broken her hip, needed surgery. I called Emma immediately. It went to voicemail. Emma, it's Mom. Grandma's in the hospital. She fell and broke her hip. She's asking for you. Can you please call me back? No response. I texted. Emergency. Grandma in hospital. Please respond. Nothing. The surgery went fine. Mom was in recovery. Lisa and I took shifts staying with her. Emma never showed up. Never called. Never even acknowledged the messages. I can't believe she's doing this, Lisa said, exhausted from an overnight shift at the hospital. Mom is asking for her and she can't even send a text? She's angry at me, not Mom. So she's punishing everyone? That's cruel. Maybe it was. Or maybe Emma was so committed to her narrative that even a family emergency couldn't break through. On the 3rd day, Emma finally texted. Not me. Lisa. Lisa showed me the message. I heard about Grandma. Is she okay? Lisa had responded, she's recovering. Would mean a lot if you visited. Emma, I don't think that's a good idea right now. Lisa, because of your mom? Emma, I'm not ready to see her. Lisa, then come when she's not here. Your grandma wants to see you. Emma never responded. My mother was heartbroken. What did you do to that girl? She asked me one afternoon. I honestly don't know, Mom. Well, you must have done something. Children don't cut off their mothers for no reason. Even my own mother thought it was my fault. 6 months after the birthday party, I ran into Emma at the grocery store. Completely by accident. We both froze when we saw each other. She looked good. Healthy. Happy even. Something about that hurt more than anything else. That she could be fine while I was barely holding it together. Hi, I said quietly. Hi. We stood there in the produce section, strangers who used to be everything to each other. How are you? I asked. Good. Really good actually. That's good. I'm glad. How's Grandma? Recovering. She'd love to see you. Emma picked up an apple, examined it. I know. You could visit her without seeing me. I'd make sure of it. It's not that simple. Why not? She put the apple in her bag. Because it is about you, Mom. Everything is about you. Even now, you're making this about how I'm hurting you instead of understanding why I needed space. I'm not making it about me. I'm just trying to understand. That's the problem. You don't understand. And I don't think you ever will. She walked away. Just left me standing there holding a bag of oranges, trying not to cry in the middle of Whole Foods. That night, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I looked at Emma's social media. I'd been avoiding it, but I needed to see what she was posting. What her life looked like without me in it. She was thriving. Posts about work achievements, photos with Marcus looking happy and in love, pictures of vacations and dinners and a life that looked perfect. And in the captions, subtle things. Learning to set healthy boundaries. Surrounding myself with people who support my growth. Choosing my peace over toxic relationships. She never mentioned me by name. But it was clear. I was the toxic relationship. I was the person she'd had to cut out to find peace. The comments were supportive. Encouraging. Friends praising her for putting herself first. For protecting her energy. For standing up for herself. I was the villain in her story. And she was getting applause for cutting me out. I went to see Dr. Chen the next day, showed her the posts. "How does this make you feel?" she asked. "Like I'm losing my mind. Like everything I thought was real wasn't. Was I really that bad? Was I really toxic? Do you think you were?" "No. But everyone else seems to think so." Dr. Chen leaned forward. "Here's what I want you to consider. You and Emma have very different versions of the same story. In your version, you're a concerned mother who gave advice when asked and set reasonable boundaries. In her version, you're controlling and jealous and couldn't let go. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. So I did do something wrong. You're human. Of course you did things wrong. All parents do. But that doesn't make you toxic. And it doesn't justify the way she's handling this. So what do I do? You focus on what you can control. Your own healing. Your own behavior. You let Emma work through whatever she's working through. And you trust that eventually, if the relationship is meant to survive, she'll come back. And if she doesn't? Then you grieve that loss and move forward." Moving forward seemed impossible. But I started trying. Started rebuilding my life around the Emma-sized hole in it. I threw myself into work. Picked up extra shifts. Volunteered for projects nobody wanted. Stayed busy enough that I didn't have time to think about how much I missed my daughter. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected. Started a book club with women from work. Took a pottery class on weekends. Built a life that didn't revolve around being Emma's mother. It helped. Some days. Other days I'd see mothers and daughters having lunch together, or I'd pass the coffee shop where Emma and I used to meet, and the grief would hit me all over again. 8 months after the birthday party, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hi, Mrs. Patterson. This is Marcus. I think we should talk. Can you meet me for coffee tomorrow?" I almost said no. Almost blocked the number. But curiosity won. We met at a Starbucks across town. He looked nervous, fidgeting with his cup. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. "What's this about?" "Emma doesn't know I'm here. She'd kill me if she knew. But I think you deserve to know what's really going on." My heart started pounding. "Okay. Emma's therapist has been encouraging her to examine her relationship with you. To look at patterns of control and codependency." "I know. She told me I was controlling." "Right. But the thing is, her therapist has never met you. Never heard your side. She's only getting Emma's version of events." "And?" He took a breath. "And Emma's version is pretty skewed. She talks about you like you were this overbearing, suffocating presence in her life. But from everything I've seen, you were just a normal concerned mother." Relief flooded through me. "Thank you for saying that. The thing is, Emma's been in a bad place mentally. She's been struggling with anxiety and depression for a while. She started therapy 6 months before her birthday. And I think her therapist has been planting ideas in her head." "What kind of ideas?" "That her anxiety stems from having a controlling mother. That she needs to separate completely to heal. That your concern was actually manipulation. The therapist has this whole framework about enmeshed relationships and she's convinced Emma that's what you two had." I felt sick. But we weren't enmeshed. We were close. There's a difference. I know. I've tried to tell her that. But she's so deep in this narrative now, she can't see anything else. Everything you've ever done, she's reinterpreting through this lens of control and manipulation. Why are you telling me this? Because it's destroying her. And it's destroying you. And it's based on a therapeutic approach that I think is doing more harm than good. Can't you get her to see a different therapist? I've suggested it. She says I'm being influenced by you. That I don't understand because my relationship with my mother is unhealthy too. He used air quotes. Apparently every good relationship with a parent is secretly toxic. We sat in silence for a minute. What do I do? I asked. I don't know. But I thought you should know that this isn't really about you. It's about Emma's mental health struggles and a therapist who's giving her a convenient scapegoat. After he left, I sat there for another hour, trying to process what he'd told me. My daughter wasn't just pulling away. She was being coached to see our entire relationship as toxic. Everything I'd done, every sacrifice, every moment of concern, every piece of advice, was being reframed as control and manipulation. And there was nothing I could do about it. I told Dr. Chen about the conversation with Marcus. Unfortunately, this isn't uncommon, she said. Some therapists have a very specific framework they apply to all parent-child relationships. They see enmeshment everywhere. And they encourage complete separation as the solution. But we weren't enmeshed. You were close. And sometimes therapists can't tell the difference. Or they have their own unresolved issues with their parents that they project onto their clients. So my daughter is being convinced that I'm toxic by someone who's never even met me. It sounds like it. What do I do? You wait. You hope that eventually Emma will get perspective. That she'll realize the narrative she's been sold doesn't match reality. But you can't force that realization. She has to come to it on her own. And if she doesn't? Then you accept that you did the best you could. That the distance between you isn't your fault. And you move on. A year after the birthday party, Emma got engaged. I found out from Facebook. A photo of her and Marcus, her hand extended to show off the ring, both of them beaming. The caption, he asked, I said yes. Can't wait to marry my best friend and build a life surrounded by people who truly support us. People who truly support us. Code 4, not my mother. The comments were full of congratulations. Friends and coworkers and distant relatives. My own mother commented, beautiful. So happy for you both. I wasn't invited to comment. She'd blocked me months ago. I called my mother. Did you know Emma was engaged? She called me yesterday. Didn't she tell you? No, Mom. She's not speaking to me, remember? Oh. I thought surely she'd tell you about this. It's such big news. Did she say anything about the wedding? She's planning for next spring. Keeping it small and intimate. Am I invited? Silence. The kind of silence that's an answer in itself. She said she's still figuring out the guest list, my mother said finally. That means no. I told her she needs to invite you. You're her mother. But she said she needs to do what's best for her mental health. There it was again. Her mental health. The ultimate trump card. How do you argue with someone's mental health? I hung up and cried for hours. My daughter was getting married and I wasn't invited. Might not even be told when or where. Just completely erased from one of the biggest moments of her life. If you're still here, still listening, please hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment about where you're watching from and whether you've ever been cut out of something important by someone you love. I need to know I'm not alone in this pain. 2 weeks after I found out about the engagement, I got a letter in the mail. From Emma. Handwritten. My hand shook as I opened it. Mom, I know you saw the engagement announcement. I'm sure you're hurt that you heard about it through social media. I'm sorry for that. Marcus and I are getting married in April. We're having a small ceremony with close friends and family. I've thought a lot about whether to invite you. It's been one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. The truth is, I'm not ready to have you at my wedding. I know that's painful to hear. But I need to be honest with you and with myself. Our relationship has caused me so much stress and anxiety over the years. I've worked hard to establish boundaries and heal from the patterns we fell into. Having you at the wedding would compromise my peace on what should be the happiest day of my life. I need to be surrounded only by people who support my growth and respect my autonomy. I hope someday we can rebuild our relationship. But that's going to require you to do some serious work on understanding how your behavior affected me. Until you can acknowledge the ways you tried to control my life, I don't think reconciliation is possible. I wish you well. Emma. I read the letter 10 times. Then I called Dr. Chen, sobbing. She's not inviting me to her wedding. She says I tried to control her life. That I need to acknowledge it before we can reconcile. How does that make you feel? Like I'm going insane. Like I'm living in an alternate reality. I didn't try to control her life. I gave advice when she asked for it. I expressed concern when I was worried. That's not control. What do you want to do? I want to write back. I want to defend myself. I want to make her see the truth. Will that work? I knew the answer. No. It'll just confirm her narrative that I can't take responsibility. So what will you do? I don't know. Let her get married without me? Just accept that I'm losing her forever? Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment. Here's what I think you should consider. Emma has created a story about your relationship. In that story, you're the villain. And right now, nothing you say or do will change that story. She needs to believe it. Maybe because it makes her anxiety make sense. Maybe because her therapist has convinced her. Maybe because it's easier than dealing with her real issues. I don't know. But the story isn't about you. It's about her. And until she's ready to question that story, you banging your head against it will only hurt you. So I just give up? No. You set yourself free. You stop trying to control her narrative about you. You stop trying to prove you're not the villain. You let her have her story and you build your own life. That sounds like giving up. It's not. It's acceptance. It's choosing your own peace over trying to change someone else's mind. I didn't write back. Didn't defend myself. Didn't try to change her mind about the wedding. I just let it go. Or tried to. The months leading up to Emma's wedding were torture. Every time my phone rang, part of me hoped it was her, calling to say she'd changed her mind, that she wanted me there. It never was. My mother asked if I was okay. Lisa suggested I should try one more time to reach out. Friends who knew the situation offered sympathy and advice. But I stayed silent. Honored Emma's wishes. Let her have her wedding without me. The day of her wedding, I stayed in bed. Didn't get dressed. Didn't go anywhere. Just lay there imagining what the day looked like. Emma in a white dress. Marcus waiting at the altar. My mother there, Lisa there, everyone there. Except me. My phone rang around 2 in the afternoon. Unknown number. I answered. Mrs. Patterson? A woman's voice. Yes? This is Laura Chen, Emma's therapist. I'm calling because Emma asked me to. My heart stopped. Is she okay? She's fine. She's actually at her reception right now. But something happened during the ceremony that she wanted me to communicate to you. Okay. Emma had a panic attack right before walking down the aisle. A severe one. We had to delay the ceremony for 30 minutes while she calmed down. And when we talked about what triggered it, she said it was because you weren't there. I couldn't speak. She realized, in that moment, that having her wedding without her mother felt wrong. That despite all the work we've done in therapy, she still wanted you there. She's very conflicted about this. Why are you telling me this? Because I think I may have made an error in my therapeutic approach with Emma. I'd been so focused on helping her establish boundaries and separate from what I perceived as an enmeshed relationship that I didn't consider whether my perception was accurate. Marcus has suggested that perhaps I've been too aggressive in my recommendations. Too aggressive. That was an understatement. Emma still believes our relationship was unhealthy, the therapist continued. But she's starting to question whether cutting you out completely was the right solution. She wanted me to tell you that she's sorry you weren't at the wedding. And that she's willing to consider rebuilding a relationship, if you're open to it. Of course I'm open to it. She's my daughter. With conditions. She'll need to continue therapy. You'd need to attend some sessions together. And you'd need to be willing to hear her perspective on the relationship without defending yourself. I can do that. I'll have her call you in a few days. After the honeymoon. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone, not sure whether to feel hopeful or furious. Emma had a panic attack at her wedding because I wasn't there. Because some therapist had convinced her to cut out her mother based on a warped interpretation of our relationship. And now, after a year of silence, after missing her engagement and her wedding, I was supposed to just be grateful she was willing to consider letting me back in? Part of me wanted to say no. To tell Emma that she'd hurt me too deeply, that I wasn't interested in jumping through hoops to prove I deserved to be in her life. But she was my daughter. And I loved her. And I'd take her back under any conditions if it meant having her in my life again. Dr. Chen was less enthusiastic when I told her. I'm concerned about the therapeutic approach, she said. The therapist admitting she may have been too aggressive is good. But Emma still believes the narrative about your relationship being unhealthy. And you're being asked to validate that narrative without defending yourself. But if that's what it takes to have her back, at what cost to you? You spent a year being told you're toxic and controlling. Now you're being asked to sit in therapy sessions and listen to more of the same, with no opportunity to share your perspective? Maybe she needs to hear that I understand her feelings. Understanding her feelings doesn't require you to accept a false narrative about your behavior. What else can I do? You could set your own boundaries. Tell Emma you're willing to work on the relationship, but only in a therapeutic context where both of your perspectives are valued. Not just hers. She'll say I'm being defensive. That I'm proving her point about being controlling. Maybe. Or maybe she needs to hear that relationships require both people to participate honestly. That reconciliation isn't just you apologizing for things you didn't do. I thought about it for days. What I was willing to accept. What I needed to protect myself. When Emma called after her honeymoon, I was ready. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. How was the honeymoon? It was beautiful. We went to Hawaii. That's wonderful. Silence. Awkward silence. Laura said she talked to you, Emma said finally. She did. I'm sorry I didn't invite you to the wedding. I'm sorry you weren't there. Thank you for saying that. I want to try to fix things between us. But it's going to take time. And it's going to require you to really listen to how your behavior affected me. I'm willing to listen, Emma. But I need you to listen to me too. What do you mean? I mean that for a year, I've been painted as this toxic, controlling villain. And I've accepted it because I love you and I didn't want to make things worse. But the truth is, I don't think I was those things. I think I was a mother who loved her daughter and sometimes gave advice you didn't want to hear. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't take responsibility. I'm not saying I was perfect. I'm sure I made mistakes. But I'm also not going to pretend I was abusive or controlling when I wasn't. If we're going to rebuild this relationship, it has to be based on truth. Not a narrative that makes me the villain. She was quiet for a long time. I don't think this is going to work. My heart sank. Why not? Because you're being defensive. You're not willing to acknowledge the harm you caused. I'm willing to acknowledge real harm. But I'm not going to confess to things I didn't do just to make you comfortable. Then I don't think we can move forward. Emma, I love you. I have always loved you. I have supported every dream, every goal, every choice you've made. I have sacrificed more than you'll ever know to give you the life you have. I'm not perfect. I'm sure I've said things that hurt you or gave advice you didn't want. But I am not the monster your therapist has made me out to be. She didn't make you out to be a monster. She helped me see patterns I couldn't see before. Did she? Or did she project her own issues onto our relationship? Did she ever ask to meet me? To hear my side? Or did she just take your word and run with it? That's not how therapy works. Actually, when it comes to family therapy, most good therapists want to meet all parties involved. To get a full picture. But Laura never did that. She created a villain based solely on your perspective, when you were already in a bad mental state. That's not good therapy, Emma. That's validation without truth. I can't believe you're attacking my therapist. I'm not attacking her. I'm questioning her methods. There's a difference. She hung up. I sat there knowing I'd probably just made everything worse. But I also felt something I hadn't felt in a year. Self-respect. I'd told the truth. Set a boundary. Refused to be scapegoated. And if Emma couldn't accept that, then maybe we weren't meant to have a relationship right now. Dr. Chen was proud of me when I told her what happened. You stood up for yourself. That took courage. I might have just lost her forever. Maybe. Or maybe you just showed her that you're not going to be a doormat. That could actually be good for both of you in the long run. Or she'll just dig in deeper to her narrative. That's possible too. But you can't control that. You can only control your own behavior and boundaries. 3 weeks went by. Nothing from Emma. I focused on my own life. Work. Friends. Pottery class. Started dating someone I met at book club. Took a vacation to Colorado by myself. Built a life that was mine. That didn't revolve around being Emma's mother or trying to fix our broken relationship. And slowly, painfully, I started to feel okay. Not happy exactly. But okay. Then, 2 months after our phone call, I got a text from Emma. Can we try again? I've been thinking about what you said. Maybe you're right that Laura only heard my side. I'd like to try couples therapy with a different therapist. Someone neutral. Would you be willing? I stared at the text for a long time before responding. Yes. I'd be willing to try. We started therapy with Dr. Reynolds, a family therapist who specialized in parent-adult-child relationships. The first session was tense. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, barely looking at each other. Dr. Reynolds had us each tell our version of what had happened. Emma went first. Talked about feeling controlled and judged. About my comments that undermined her confidence. About feeling like she couldn't make decisions without my input. Then it was my turn. I talked about being a single mother who'd sacrificed everything for her daughter. About expressing concern when Emma seemed to be struggling. About giving advice when asked. About being hurt when normal parental concern was labeled as jealousy and control. Dr. Reynolds listened to both of us without judgment. Then she said something that changed everything. I'm hearing 2 very different experiences of the same relationship. Emma, you experienced. Your mother's concern is control. Mrs. Patterson, you experienced your concern as normal parenting. I think you're both right. Emma looked confused. How can we both be right? Because relationships are subjective. Your mother's intentions and your experience of her behavior can both be true. She can have meant well while still making you feel controlled. That doesn't make her a villain. And it doesn't make your feelings invalid. For the first time in over a year, I saw doubt flicker across Emma's face. Over the next several months of therapy, we slowly unpacked our relationship. The ways I'd been over-involved sometimes. The ways Emma had been hypersensitive to normal parental concern. The ways we'd both contributed to the breakdown. It wasn't easy. There were sessions where we both cried. Sessions where we got angry. Sessions where it felt like we'd never bridge the gap. But slowly, we started to understand each other. Really understand, not just defend our own positions. Emma started to see that not all of my concern had been control. That sometimes I really was just worried because I loved her. That her previous therapist had taken normal mother-daughter friction and pathologized it. And I started to see that Emma had felt suffocated at times. That my advice, even when well-intentioned, sometimes felt like criticism. That I'd had trouble seeing her as a fully independent adult. We were both right. And we were both wrong. 6 months into therapy, Emma said something that broke my heart and healed it at the same time. "I'm sorry I called you jealous, Mom. That wasn't fair." "You weren't jealous. You were just scared of losing me. And I was scared of being swallowed up by you. And we both handled it badly." "I'm sorry I made you feel controlled," I said. "I never meant to. I just loved you so much I couldn't help trying to protect you." "I know. And I'm sorry I shut you out instead of talking to you about how I was feeling." It wasn't a perfect reconciliation. We still had work to do. Still had patterns to unlearn. Still had boundaries to establish. But it was a start. A real start. Emma invited me over for dinner last week. Just the three of us, her, Marcus, and me. It was a little awkward at first. But then we started talking and laughing and it felt almost normal. As I was leaving, Emma hugged me at the door. A real hug. The first one in over a year. "I love you, Mom. I'm sorry for everything that happened." "I love you too, sweetheart. And I'm sorry too." For everyone who's still watching, thank you for going on this journey with me. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me where you're from and whether this story resonated with you. Whether you've been the parent accused of jealousy, or the child who had to set boundaries, or somewhere in between. Here's what I've learned through all of this: sometimes the people we love the most hurt us in ways they don't understand. Sometimes we hurt them in ways we don't intend. And sometimes labels like jealous or controlling get thrown around when the real issue is just fear and pain and poor communication. My daughter wasn't being malicious when she called me jealous. She was struggling with anxiety and got caught up in a therapeutic narrative that made sense of her pain by creating a villain. I happened to be the convenient villain. And I wasn't being controlling when I expressed concern. I was being a mother who'd spent 28 years putting her daughter first and didn't know how to stop worrying. We were both just trying to survive our own fears. And we hurt each other in the process. The relationship we're building now is different from the one we had before. It's more boundaried. More honest. Less enmeshed, probably. But also less close in some ways. I don't talk to Emma every day anymore. We have dinner once a week and text occasionally. She tells me about her life, but not everything. And I give advice only when she asks for it. It's not the relationship I thought we'd have. But it's real. And it's ours. And it's healing. Some days I still feel the pain of that year we lost. The wedding I missed. The cruel things that were said. The reputation that was damaged. But I'm learning to let it go. To focus on what we have now instead of what we lost. Because at the end of the day, she's my daughter. And I'm her mother. And that means something. Even when it's hard. Even when it's broken. Even when it has to be rebuilt from scratch. I wasn't jealous of my daughter. I was terrified of losing her. And in my terror, I held on too tight. And in her need for independence, she pushed too hard. We both made mistakes. We both caused pain. And we're both trying to do better. That's all any of us can do. If you're in a broken relationship with a family member, I hope our story gives you hope. Not that everything will be fixed perfectly. But that healing is possible. That understanding can grow even from terrible misunderstandings. That love can survive even the worst accusations. Thank you for listening. For staying to the end. For being here. Drop that comment. Hit that like. Subscribe if you want to follow more of my journey. And remember, you're not always the villain in someone else's story, even if they've cast you in that role. Sometimes people just need to make sense of their pain. And sometimes you become the explanation they need. But that doesn't make it true. Hold on to your truth. Set your boundaries. Love people, but don't let them destroy you in the name of that love. I'm still learning. Still healing. Still figuring out how to be Emma's mother in this new version of our relationship. But I'm doing it. We're doing it. Together. Imperfectly. Honestly. And that's enough.